My name is Zane Erickson. I'm from Zed Studio, and I am known for some really creative interpretation of my clients when we're designing custom homes. One of my favorite things to do is to sit down with blank canvases and begin to interview my people and pull questions from their family, from their history, and start like an interpretive process with them where we marry form, function, and who they are as people, but it kind of becomes this free-form art process of designing. And what I love is that when the story is told about the home and how it's come together, our people are so engaged in the process because they know why the room went where it went, or they know why that roof is a sale piece. It's not just because it looks cool. It's because while we were interviewing, it came out that they spent years traveling around the world sailing. And so we find ways to bring those memories in. Or it's the story of the best day of their family is on the beach in Maui. And so the home gets a fractured footprint that we marry waves into with curved shapes and rooms and different things like that. So yeah, that's what I love to do. So I have wanted to draw homes since I was so young. I remember in grade 3, I had this art project where we were supposed to just draw a home, but I didn't want to draw it flat or like the front picture with the typical gable like everybody else. I drew a house in cross section, and it had like a fireman's pole and like all of the rooms stacked on top of each other and different zones for playing. And the kitchen was, above some recreational space, I guess is what I would say from that time. And bedrooms were up, but everything had like slides and firefighter poles. And I don't know, I just always loved houses from a very young age, growing up in Northern Alberta in a log house with like no running water. So I think that's where my brain just started to fantasize about homes, because I would see other people living in quite beautiful places, and then we'd go home to where we lived. And I think my brain just always loved to explore the idea of what a home could be. Fast forward till I was 19, coming out of college, and I wanted to marry my high school sweetheart. So I had to find a job because my father-in-law is just like, if you don't have a job, man, that's it. You're not marrying my daughter. So kind of cut the schooling short and just went out and found a job drafting. And the early days, I would draw anything I could find to get paid to draw. So I drew the rebar in Canada Place Pier extension. I worked on the seismic upgrades to the bridge from Stanley Park. I mean, I've drawn so many different things. My first kind of break into housing was drawing modular homes. So I started out drawing modular homes for a local company here, sending stuff out all over the world. And then the industry just tanked, and I had to find a job. So I threw my resume out to every architect, handwritten with like my perfect lettering on every single like letter that I wrote individually for each one. And I got a break at Mark Ankerman Associates in Crescent Beach, and got hired and showed up the first day. And he's just like, "What are you going to do?" I'm like, "I'm going to be your best employee ever." And so he gave me a shot. And it was pretty cool. I worked there for a number of years on different housing projects. And Mark was really cool because he would take time to like explain how to design with me. And he really showed me a lot of neat things about design, like traveling in the desert and you see a form off in the distance, and the closer you get to it, the more detailed it becomes, and the more you can obsess over the smaller elements and pictures. But you always need to kind of reflect from back off in the distance, looking at it, and sort of do this in and out journey with design. So I started off with a lot of subdivision homes working with him. We would look after various builders. And another fun thing there is we would critique people's work because he was the design controller. And so, you get this powerful position where other people's work comes in and you get to like look at it and make suggestions. And I think it was all part of just learning more and more about housing. Then I had the fortunate experience working at Sightlines Architecture in Fort Langley, working on some wild homes that were like people's vacation homes in the up in Panorama and in Vermeer. And we did some homes crawling up mountains. We did some wild like rotating home plans with like a house on an axis that was fueled by the energy of a certain point on the site. And the projects have just kind of grown over time. I went on my own about 5.5 years ago, and of course started back kind of at the beginning with a bunch of subdivision homes in different like smaller projects, but by putting that same passion into every project that we do, people have started to trust us with budgets that have grown and grown and grown up to $20 million is sort of our biggest project we're doing at the moment. And it's so fun to watch the evolution of housing and design with all of the technology that's available to date. I think one of the biggest things we've done in-house is just embrace technology. If we can pull it in, and if it facilitates our people knowing and understanding better what they're getting, then we're all about it. So we throw in virtual reality glasses, we use rendering software in the office, and what people love is that it's all being built up right in front of them as we're sketching. Things are going into 3D, and they can move rooms around and explore different materials and elements. And yeah, it's been just a fun journey, that's for sure. So I love food. So kitchens are the kitchen in the home is this unique space where I think a lot of love is transferred in the home, where food is prepared and presented, and the kitchen becomes this integral communication within the family unit or between relationships of where creative expression happens in the home like nothing else. Because you can do with food what you can't really like recreate something new in your bathroom, but in the kitchen you can take a couple of different ingredients, you can put them together and just like express so much love through a food dish. And so what I love is kitchens that function and kitchens that really like pull people together. And my approach to the kitchen is not just making it like a focal point of the home, but also really trying to draw people into it by placement. So whether that's, making sure it has an amazing view, or expanding it with the flow of the family around from the stairs to the kitchen to pantry, mudroom, different things like that. We always want the kitchen to sort of be in that center hub location of the home. And then I love to mess around with them. I don't necessarily like straight kitchens. My one thing I'm known for, and one thing interior designers don't necessarily love me for, is I love to do a lazy L kitchen. I love to throw an angular break in the kitchen and see what kind of drama we can create with it, because we want gathering pockets within the kitchen, but we don't want to gather people where, it's in the way of actual function of the kitchen. So by playing with some angles, I always find like I can create this little island spot where everyone can gather around all sides, and then we can still have the functional part of the kitchen. So that's one of the things I'm known for. And I think they turn out fabulous, but that's me in my opinion. So in kitchen design, something I'm personally very passionate about at the moment is getting rid of the spice kitchen or the prep kitchen. I think it's a wonderful idea, but I don't like putting people in that small space. So what we've been working on really hard with our clients at the moment is sort of returning to a European style kitchen where we create a closed in kitchen, but it's spacious and it functions and it's elegant. And what it does though, is it gives the main cook of the home space to actually create and not feel like disconnected from the family. So whether it's like glazing it off with like an iron and glass like wall so that it still feels like it's part of the great room, like we would traditionally lay it out, we're sort of bringing that European style kitchen back into the home so that these amazing flavors and smells, like they still need to be, they need to be celebrated. And I want to just get rid of that idea that we have to put that kind of creativity off in a back corner. And so when it comes to now creating that kitchen, that's a chef's kitchen, right? Because it's going to function and the smells are going to be there. So we got to make sure it's got really great ventilation. We also have to make sure that it functions really well. And what I love about European style kitchens and European manufacturing is how integrated each piece is into the kitchen. It's not just a drawer. No, this drawer was designed. It's got all of your knives preset in it. They're all ready to go. Your spice racks are placed very specifically with your kitchen. Your cooking, everything's lit up really beautiful. And the hardware that's coming out of European kitchens, it's just superior. I mean, most kitchen manufacturers around here now are using German hardware basically on everything. And because it's like the classic, like back in the day, go to open your kitchen drawer, just like the door falls off. And you're like, oh my God, why? I think as North Americans, we've been pioneering for so long, whereas in Europe, they've been done pioneering for hundreds of years. And so they've really taken the time to perfect the art of living just kind of on a daily basis and really get into the minutia of what a kitchen is. And so I think some of those details have become very well thought out. And so leaning on those cultures, I think here in North America, we can pull it in and really enjoy those processes personally. So, oh man. So you can find us on Instagram. Honestly, it's just Instagram has become the best way to connect with anybody, I think, at Zed Studio. You can find us on our website, zedstudio.com, or on Instagram at Zed Studio. And we have the immense privilege of working with people with beautiful pieces of property that are looking to have a signature home designed and developed for them, something that hasn't necessarily been seen before, even though we've probably seen everything. But the interpretation of that family on that property wants to be like a legacy item. That's what we're having a lot of fun doing right now. Most of the homes that we're doing, they're legacy pieces. People want homes to stand for 100, 200 years. So we're doing a lot of ICF and steel because they want to pass down to their children and see generations happen. And so that's pretty cool. So coming into German House and checking out Leicht, the kitchen is beautiful. It's functional elegance is the right way to put it. And like, there are just little details that you see that matters. I've really enjoyed the art form that I think goes into their pieces. And one of their philosophies at German House is really integrating the architecture into the kitchen. And I love that because I never want someone to come into one of my homes and feel like the outside was different in the inside. It goes back to that philosophy of, journeying towards the project. And so when you can find partnerships with people who take the architecture and then they're interpreting it into the interior of the home, bringing it into the kitchen, I think that's invaluable. Just that there's that philosophy there to continue the expression of functional beauty within the home. And the kitchens are gorgeous. They're very well built. Love the German manufacturing and just the integration of your lighting and the integration of different appliances, different knives, etc., that all go into each cabinet. So your cabinets can be so specifically designed around function. It's a beautiful product. And then the Holster, oh my gosh, the way that they chamfer the edge down on some of the pieces of furniture, just beautiful. The cold formed steel set into some of these pieces for the structural support, and just the beauty of display and function kind of working together in that functional elegance. Holster's spectacular. I heard I could dance on the table if I really wanted to. So, I mean, if you're going to design furniture, design it to really function. And that's really beautiful. So Zed Studio is in Abbotsford, BC. I know it's across the bridge. It's so far. Trust me, it's an experience you don't want to miss. Sitting down and drawing in person is something that anybody who comes in and works with us, it's an experience like they've never had before. And being interpreted as a person and having the house come out of you, not necessarily out of somebody else, is a very unique experience, especially with all the time that people put into their homes these days and the thought process that goes around all the Pinterest boards and the house accounts and the hours and hours and years that people obsess over the home. I think it's worth exploring and having that being pulled out of you so the home you move into is exactly what you wanted.